Is him the substance for men? I mean, I adored The Substance, and honestly, I enjoyed him. Not as much, but I'm nowhere near as, say, rattled as some other critics. So it got me thinking, if these two films share so many DNA strands, why isn't him getting the same reception? I mean, both lean hard into body horror as a metaphor. The Substance has Elizabeth literally shedding her old self with spinal splits and injection and decay, and him will mirror that with the brutal training sequences, the vivid injuries, and of course the skull stapling. Physical punishment makes the psychological stakes visible in both of these films. They're also deeply farcical and darkly funny despite the violence and dark themes. Demi Moore's transition scenes are both gut-wrenching and grand guignol slapstick. Him has ritual hazing bordering on absurd, Last Supper tableaus, and of course Jim Jeffries, as Isaiah's doctor, delivers a performance that is wonderfully funny and dark. The horror and the humor coexist in a very deliberate way. Both embrace ritual and symbolism. The Substance frames youth and beauty like a sacrament, while him goes perhaps too overtly liturgical. 7-day training, crown of thorn motifs, a blood red finale. There's a lot of big, broad Bible stuff here. Both films are driven by some really good performances. Demi Moore in The Substance is pretty much the emotional core. Likewise, Tyrese Withers and Marlon Wayans bring charisma and kind of like a surprisingly broad emotional range that grounds a lot of the chaos. Visually, both films exaggerate the palette to amplify tone and to play into their ridiculous settings. The Substance uses, of course, the chartreuse green and neon, while him uses icy whites, deep blues, and crimson reds for obvious reasons. It's painterly and intentional, making the farce as vivid as the horror. Both escalate from grounded beginnings to over-the-top finales. The Substance's climax is an opera of blood and goo, which you could use to describe American football right there. And him's closing ritual is just as extravagantly violent and almost absurdly funny. Even thematically, both explore doubling and hero worship. Elizabeth versus Sue, and The Substance, Cam versus Isaiah and him, both ask, what does it cost to replace or idolize someone else? The difference? The Substance keeps its satire sharp and focused. Him spreads its targets, sports, religion, masculinity, so the metaphor can kind of feel diffuse. And that, I think, is the key. While him shares the same energy, the spectacle, the farcical horror as The Substance, its broader scope makes the message less precise, which may explain why some critics and audiences haven't embraced it in the same way. So is him the Substance for men? In many ways, yeah. With the use of body horror, farce, over-the-top spectacle, and vivid cinematography, it channels the same energy. But because it's broader and messier in its metaphor, it's not quite as piercing or precise. Still, it's a thrilling, darkly funny, and unforgettable meditation on obsession, hero worship, and the grotesque extremes of masculinity, assuming you can temper your expectations, especially when you're comparing it to a film like The Substance.